What is up, my ninjas? Shinobi here with a Diablo 3 video for you guys. This post right here kind of caught me by surprise because if you guys remember, just a few days ago I made a video briefly talking about how they made a post, Blizzard, talking about how Season 1 would end at the earliest on February 3rd, which means that Season 2 wouldn't be starting the earliest March 3rd, which is quite a ways from now. And, you know, I'm all ready and looking at other games and playing other stuff and trying things out on stream and, you know, wanting to get these things going and maybe put some other content, some more variety on the channel while we're waiting for Season 2. But this kind of popped up here, and I think it's very interesting. So I think we should go ahead and read through it. There are a couple things that we obviously need to talk about, and I think we have a really good discussion about this because this does impact the game pretty drastically. So what do I mean by that? Well, let's get into it. But before we do that, I know that people in the comments right now are just waiting to type a comment about, hey, Shinobi's tree's still up. When are you going to take that tree down? I know. I'm trying to reset my sleep schedule right now to, you know, get on a better schedule so I can do more videos, so I can do more streams, and have time to get rid of some things that I haven't been able to get rid of yet. So I have been up for about 23 hours so far making this video. Then I'm going to get some sleep, reset my schedule, and yeah, and get things going with it. But have a lot more activity going on both on both channels and also in real life. However, that aside, let's get into the good stuff. Or you might not think good stuff. Now, it says right here, with respect to seasons, our goal is to avoid implementing major balance changes towards the end of a season. Ideally, patches and hotfixes will occur between seasons or early enough in the season that players have ample time to adjust to the new environment. However, we discovered some technical risks, we'll come back to that, in executing a launch of patch 2.1.2 and the upcoming season rollover, and it's clear that trying to do both in tandem or close proximity would jeopardize both processes. This left us with two options. Now, if you don't know what they're talking about patch 2.1, this right here. There is a lot of stuff in patch 2.1, a lot of hot fixes and changes and things like that. I mean, some things are being added that are kind of interesting, but yeah, we've talked about this a little bit in the past. They announced this kind of stuff at BlizzCon. So what does this all mean here? Well, they have two options here that they want to do because of the technical risks. A, we launch patch 2.1 after the season rollover. In this scenario, seasonal players wouldn't have access to any new 2.1.2 items, including updated set items, updated legendary items, and the new seasonal items for at least a couple weeks after the season went live. Wow. Pretty much saying that 2.1.2 wouldn't come out until after the new season goes live. I don't think anybody wants that option. B, we could launch patch 2.1.2 before the season rollover. In this scenario, this would impact seasonal leaderboard progression. Okay, so do it before. So we're going to get Season 2 content before Season 2, and then Season 2 will just be, it's like you kind of get a head start, and then Season 2 comes out, and if you're doing seasonal, you restart over, or if you're just, doing your regular stuff, you just keep going with that. Okay, could be interesting. So they say some more stuff here, and after weighing both options carefully, we have decided to launch patch 2.1.2 3 weeks prior to the season rollover. This should provide players enough time to adjust to the patch changes before the season ends, as well as ensure that Season 1 is not prolonged further for those looking forward to Season 2. Okay, so they're saying that patch 2.1.2 is going to come out 3 weeks prior to the end of Season 1. Now, they said in the recent post that, as I said before, Season 1 would end no earlier than February 3rd. Now, 3 weeks before February 3rd would be next Tuesday. Well, if you've been keeping an eye on your Blizzard updater, the patch 2.1.2 has been preloaded already into our updaters for our live Diablo 3s. So a lot of people have speculated before this, even before this post came up, a lot of people speculated that 2.1.2 would come out next week. And now with this post, it looks even more likely that next Tuesday, patch 2.1.2 will come out. Now, that tells us that Season 1 would end on February 3rd, and that also tells us that Season 2 would start on March 3rd, or give or take a day or something like that, a day or two. So, very interesting stuff here. Now, this all sounds fine and dandy. I mean, getting stuff earlier is a good thing. Now, I want to talk about two things here that are kind of interesting. We can have kind of a little bit of a discussion about this. And, you know, this sounds all great and fine and everything like that, but the two things that I wonder are these. First, why? You know, they said, well, you know, because of technical risks and everything like that. But I personally think that a lot of people complained that Season 2 was going to be too far away, and that, you know, there's been no, like, Season 1 has lasted way too long, and I think that they said, you know what, what do we do? What do we do? They're getting upset, and, you know, everybody's complaining because of our recent post, because like literally every comment on that recent post that they did that I talked about in that video, every comment on there was pretty much people bashing them, being upset about, like, oh, too far away, Season 1's been way too long, you know, seasons, there's 4 seasons in a year, Blizzard, like, this isn't, you know, not 6-month seasons and stuff like that. So people are, you know, obviously we're getting really upset about that, so they're probably like, you know, what do we do, and you're like, okay, well, you know, we can't really make Season 2 come out any faster, because we still need to work on that stuff, and all that kind of stuff. You know what, we'll give them 2.1.2 early, and that'll make them happy. That's kind of what I think happened, you know, and maybe some of this stuff is true, you know. However, I think that maybe that had a little bit, you know, kind of pushed them a little bit. I think you guys kind of pushed them a little bit into kind of getting some content out quicker. Now, how does this impact the game, though? How does it impact the current season that we're in right now? Because it does, and it will. You know, for instance, we're still in Season 1 right now. People have been competing on the leaderboards and doing this kind of slow progression in the past few months here, you know, really maxing out their gear, really just trying to top off their character as high as they can into the upper tiers, getting all those, you know, rifts to align and getting the right rifts, getting the right progression, getting the right items, getting the right scenarios, getting the right density, getting the right RNG elements to line up for them so they can get the highest tier that they possibly can and try and secure a high tier ranking at the end of Season 1. And don't get me wrong, in the last 3 weeks of a season, players are going to have to work pretty hard anyway to, you know, secure that position. However, with patch 2.1.2 being implemented 3 weeks before the end of Season 1, this is going to change everything. Not only, you know, is your position right now on the leaderboard not secure whatsoever, the rifts are going, their density, the randomization has been cut down a little bit on there. The way the greater rifts pretty much are, the density, you know, like I said, much better. Ancient legendaries, I mean, people have been working for months in Season 1 to fine-tune their characters, optimize their characters, min-max those characters, and push their characters to the limit. And, you know, if they thought, okay, tier 41, that's my limit, I can't get any higher, I got top 10 or something like that, I'm good, you know, or whatever, you know, it's just an example, but, or a random number. However, with Ancient Legendaries, you know, what you thought was a high tier ranking before, no, you haven't seen anything yet, because these items are way better. You're going to be like, when this comes out 3 weeks before Season 1 ends, players are going to be farming like crazy, finding all these items that are huge upgrades for their current, which was optimized min-max character before, is now going to be getting huge upgrades. 20 to 30% increase in stats in all shapes and forms, damage and survivability and everything like that, making these tiers much easier to do, much faster to clear, and getting higher up in those leaderboards. So now those players that have been, ranked really high up there, that have been trying to secure this, now they're really going to have to not only have they put so much time in before to get to that position, now they're going to have to do it pretty much all over again in a very short amount of time to secure it. It's kind of like everything that happened up until now doesn't matter. It's pretty much what it's like. And that's kind of the problem with patch 2.1.2 coming out before Season 1 ends. Because what did we do in Season 1 then? Like, did Season 1 not even matter these last 4 months or so that we've been doing seasons? Like, that's kind of the situation. Now, don't get me wrong. Coming out with new content, coming out with new things, and coming out with stuff quicker and, much faster than we thought of, that's great, and I like that. For me personally, I'm stoked. I love this, and I'm like happy, because I can play the game a lot, and I can invest a lot of time into it. And, I've been looking for excuses to play Diablo 3, and this is a pretty awesome excuse to do so. However, I feel like some players out there, and you guys can comment down below and let me know if you're one of them, are probably going to feel like, wow, all that work that I did in Season 1 means nothing now, because you're just going to literally go in, like, let's say it comes out next week, next Tuesday, right? First day, farm for hours and hours and hours in the first day, get a bunch of ancient legendaries, get a bunch of upgrades that replace all of your now, obsolete gear, which all the gear in the game is now obsolete soon as that comes out. And boom, you're getting all those items, you're pretty much refarming again in a very short amount of time, and then you're climbing up the leaderboards, and the leaderboards, how they look right now, will be completely different. That's a huge change at the end of a season, especially when players have been working a long time to get where they are now in the leaderboards. So, I personally didn't really put too much into the leaderboard, rankings and everything like that. There's been a lot of problems with seasons. There's been a lot of problems with the greater rifts in general, and I've talked about that in previous videos. But I have a feeling that some players out there might see this as not so good of news. I think majority of people will think this is good news, but I just wanted to kind of think a little bit outside the box and kind of think a little bit on the other perspective of, yeah, sure, new stuff is cool and awesome and fun, but how does it impact the game? I think this is a pretty serious thing. And I don't know. I mean, I was okay with that when it came out with Season 2, because, okay, we have to start over again. Usually you do start over if you play Seasonal in Season 2, so not really a big deal, However, starting over again 3 weeks before the end of a season, pretty much, and then doing it again in Season 2 in a pretty short amount of time, that might burn some people out pretty quickly and maybe make some people not even want to play Season 2 as well. Just something to think about. Food for thought, Anyway, I'm pretty excited for this stuff. I'm going to get into it. I'm going to play it. I'm going to play like crazy. I'm going to farm all that ancient legendary gear, and I'm going to try and get my rankings in the leaderboards as high as I can near the end of Season 1. See how it goes, If the stars line up and the rifts go perfectly and everything's great and I get pretty high up there, that's cool. If not, it's still something new in the game, so I'm happy. However, what I've said in the past still stands. There is a lot of work that needs to be done with Diablo 3. Let's just hope this is the first step with many to come after. Who knows? Only time will tell. Until then, and until the next video or my live stream, links down below. I'm Shinobi, and thanks for watching.